Hiya! Today I'd love to show you the Rare Earth Sweet Succulents collection that's available to buy on crafting.co.uk. You can see the details are at the side of your screen, so definitely check it out because it's a fantastic collection as I'm going to show you today. So, like with many Rare Earth collections, within the set we've got 4 individual sets of A4 stamps. They are clear polymer stamps, they are gorgeous quality, so the detail that we've got within these stamps will be represented when we come to ink them up and stamp them out, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to start by taking you through the different designs within the collection. It's really gorgeous, this collection. It's something that's quite on trend, quite fun, a little bit different, and there's lots and lots of stamps to choose from in there, so it's really exciting. So let's get started, let's have a little look through. So the first set that we've got is called 3D Succulents. So you can see we've got lots of different succulent flowers and leaves within this set. You can see that we've got different sizes of the same succulent. The idea is with these is that you can actually decoupage them up. So you can place the layer on top of the larger layer and you can create your own 3D decoupage with your stamps, which is something a little bit different. We don't tend to see that a lot with stamps. That's really exciting. Just gives you that point of difference when you're crafting. But of course you don't have to use them as decoupage elements. You could just take that as a smaller flower than that is and just build up your own backgrounds. Perhaps you can use these as embellishments, maybe fussy cut around them, or even use your Brother Scan and Cut to cut around them for you if you're not so keen on fussy cutting. So we've got lots of detail within this set, lots of different sizes, so building up your cards is going to be a breeze with this set. So that is our 3D Succulent set. We've also got our Succulent Compositions. So this is very much like we've taken some of our 3D Succulents, masked off certain areas and built up compositions, but it's already done for you, which is fantastic if you're a beginner, you're not so confident with masking, you've got that already done for you. And it's also quicker when you're creating your cards if you've got to be a little bit more snappy with the card you've got to make, which we've all got to be from time to time. You know, we do sometimes forget a birthday and it's sprung upon us and we've got to make a quick card, so this is perfect for that because we've got the compositions already done for us. As you can see, we've got quite large stamps within this set, so I'd definitely say a Rare Earth load and folder will come in really useful when you're working with these stamps, but you can just use an acrylic block if you'd prefer. So we've got lots of detail on here, and we also have a few filler stamps which are perfect for building up backgrounds. I love the pots on here, I think that's really quite quirky, quite different, really love this set of stamps. So perfect for your focal elements on your cards or any other project for that matter. It could be home decor, could be gift tags, could be scrapbooks, anything at all that you'd like to use these stamps for, you can. And that's a brilliant thing with stamps, you get so much versatility, so many different options as to how you colour them. Perhaps you want to leave them in black and white. Lots of options, there's lots you can do with this collection, it's just fantastic, as I'm going to show you. Then we've got the framed sweet sentiments. So you can see in here, we've got those succulent compositions once again in slightly smaller scale, but they've been added to these frames and they're a little bit different because we've got that double line on the frame, which gives it quite a quirky, quite a modern look. So these are really fantastic for building up quite quick and simple cards because you've got that frame already done for you. Perhaps you want to team that with some of your 3D succulents to create a background piece and then use your frames as your foreground. You can create really stylish and fun cards. As you can see, along with these lovely frames, of which we've got quite different shapes, we've got our hexagon on there, which is a little bit different. It's really nice to have something slightly different in our collection rather than just our circles and our ovals, which are brilliant and we use them a lot. We've got slightly different shapes to give that little quirky edge to your projects. We've got a few more filler stamps, perfect for your backgrounds, for your embellishments. If you've just got a little space to fill on your project, they're there to do that perfectly for you. But we've also got some lovely sentiments. Now I really like the font on these. They look very much like they've been done by hand. Very much got that handwritten feel to them. But I also really love the sentiments themselves. They've got a really uplifting, really aspirational feel to them. So we've got things like be the best version of yourself, be you. Don't be afraid to be great. So they're really uplifting. Perhaps you've got a friend who's having a slightly difficult time and you just want to send them a card to lift their spirits a little bit, just to buoy them up. These sentiments will be perfect because they really do give you a little bit of a boost. And as well, as you'd expect from Rare Earth, because they've got craftability within these collections, as we always expect with Rare Earth, the sentiments fit within the frames, so it just all flows and works together perfectly. Talking of sentiments, we've actually got a whole A4 set of sentiment stamps within this collection, which is brilliant. So they do mix and match beautifully with those frames that we've just looked at, but they're also fantastic to use with any other project. So it could be with any other stamping project, could be with any other project at all. Perhaps you're using your tattered lace dies to create a card. You just need that finishing touch, that little sentiment on there. This is going to be a real go-to set within your collection. So you can see we've got that similar font again, although we do have a little bit of a mix of fonts on there. This sort of overarching font is all the same, which is very, very versatile, because you can then mix and match your sentiments on the same project if you would so wish, and you'll have that flow, that beautiful sort of seamless finish to your projects. And again, they're quite aspirational, quite inspirational. So you've got things like good, better, best, but there's also a little bit of humour in there. It's something we don't see enough, I don't think, but I think a lot of people really appreciate cards with a bit of humour. It just puts a smile on your face, and that's very much what we want. When we send a handmade card, we want to see the recipient smile. You know, it gives us such a lovely feeling. That's what it's all about, really, just sharing all of our craft, our passion with other people, just brightening up their day is fantastic. So things like put on your big girl pants and deal with it. It's just fun, it's just different. It's a perfect finishing touch to all your projects. But as well, do notice that there's lots of different sizes of sentiments, so it doesn't matter what size your project, the project that you're working on is, whatever size that space is that you've got to fill, chances are you're going to have a sentiment that fits it perfectly, as we've got such a range of sizes and shapes as well. So we've got sort of longer and thinner shapes. Then we've got ones that would fit really nicely within a circle. Perhaps you've got your circle nesting dies, maybe stamp your sentiment into there and die cut it out. It would be absolutely perfect. So those are the 4 sets within the collection. So there's lots there to get started with, and don't forget they are available to buy on crafting.co.uk at the moment at a fantastic price. You'll see all the details on your screen, so definitely have a little look at that. But I just want to show you a really easy, simple and quick card to pop together, just how you can work with these stamps without even having to colour them in. So if you're not a colourist, don't worry, there's definitely still something for you in this collection. But if you are, you can really go to town. Perhaps you want to use your Ink Lilly alcohol markers, perhaps you want to use your Rare Earth Reactions ink pads with it. There's lots you can do, but if you are not a colourist, then you can just go with black and white and it will look fantastic. So the set I'm going to be working with, this card, is the 3D Succulents. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the sort of concept is that you can create your own 3D decoupage using these stamps, which is something a little bit different. But you don't have to. You can just take them as different sizes of succulents, and you can use them however you like. So what I've done is I've cut 3 pieces of craft card, and they're all exactly the same size. They're all rectangular. You can choose whatever size you like. You could use squares. It's totally up to you. And I'm just going to choose a few stamps from the set. So I'm going to choose that one, and you can choose any stamp at all within the set. And we're basically going to just build up background. So I think I'm going to go with 3 different flowers. Now, it's always good to work, if you can, in odd numbers. So you can see I've got 3 panels here. It's more pleasing to the eye. The reason being is that your eye can then find a centre point to focus on, and you'll find that it just allows your projects to be more visually appealing. So I've got an acrylic block, and with these being clear stamps, what you'll find is that they're not sticky to touch, but they do cling to your acrylic blocks, like so. And I'm working on my glass mat with a piece of scrap white card underneath, just to protect my surface. I'm going to line the 3 rectangles up so they're touching. Okay, and I'm just taking my stamp and I'm working with a Memento ink pad in black. Move those out the way. This is a dye-based ink pad. It is fairly quick drying, which just allows us to get on with the project quite quickly. You could use a VersaFine if you'd like. And a little tip, especially when you've got new stamps, definitely test stamp them out onto a piece of scrap cardstock just to see how they stamp. Now, craft card does have a slight texture to it, so we might not get a completely crisp impression. We might get a little bit of texture onto our stamped images, but that's absolutely fine. If you want a really crisp image when you are stamping onto craft card, definitely go for a load and fold, because that way you can stamp again over the same area, and then you can get a really, really crisp, deep black impression. So I've lined the 3 pieces of card up so they're butted up against each other. I'm going to be stamping across the panels. This is going to give us quite an interesting effect, something a little bit different. So we'll have that continuous pattern, but then we're going to separate them, we're going to mat and layer them up. So it's just something a little bit different. And again, stamping onto craft card is something, I don't feel I do it enough. I don't know about you at home. My default is to go to stamp in black on white card. But you know, we can stamp onto our coloured cards. We can stamp in our coloured inks if we'd like to. So, you know, I think sometimes we forget that, but it's great just to do something a little bit different. So black stamping onto craft card looks fantastic. So I've stamped 3 of those across there, and I'm going off the edge of the page a little bit as well, because what you'll find is that gives it more of a seamless sort of finish. If we keep within the cardstock, it can look, doesn't flow as nicely, I would say. So I'm taking my second stamp, so this is slightly smaller. I'm going to go with the same technique again. Now, if you are worried about your 3 pieces of card sort of moving, you could use a repositionable adhesive and spray them down onto your piece of cardstock so that they stay in place. But as you can see, mine, as they move, I can just lay them back down into place. So making sure that I get the image going across the 3 panels. It's going to give us that interesting effect. I'm just going to stamp 1 more of these onto here. Now, you could be heat embossing with these stamps as well, so it would look really, really lovely to use perhaps a white embossing powder onto the craft card for that contrast. That will give a really interesting effect as well. And then I'm taking finally my slightly smaller stamp, and it's nice to have a range of different sizes of images onto there. As well, the smaller images allow us to fill in the gaps. You can see we've got a little bit of a gap in the middle, but it would be too small to fit one of the larger succulents into there. So by using a range of different sizes, which you do have within the collection, it will just make your projects a little bit more finished. So I'm just really filling spaces at this point. That's why I tend to use the largest stamp first and then work down in size, so I finish off with the smallest stamp last. And that way I can just see what spaces I have to fill in. I think just 1 more should do it. And you can get a little bit carried away. Sometimes it's sort of, when do you stop? Just stop once you're happy, once you think it's full enough for you and you've got enough design onto there. Now, you could be colouring those in. Coloured pencils would look lovely against a craft card actually. I'm just going to leave that in craft and white. What I've done is I've taken some black cardstock that's just slightly larger than my craft card pieces. So I've just taken 3 of the same size. The reason being that I'm using black is to pull out the black ink. It's just going to tie everything in together, just give us that sort of, that element that's going to bring the eye into the middle. Just adding a little bit of finger lift tape onto the back and matting that onto the black gives us that black border. It's going to really make that black stamping pop on there, tying everything together, and it does give us a little bit of drama onto there. And black and craft is a really lovely combination. It's really striking. So this is a really quite a stylish card. So I am using finger lift tape to stick this down. You can use wet glue if you prefer, or even a tape runner. But if you'd like this to be 3D, absolutely go for that. That'd look lovely as well. You could use some 3D foam tape onto there. So I tend to go with quite small mats and layers, but if you like larger mats and layers, that is absolutely your own personal choice. I just find personally that for me, small mats and layers are a little bit more elegant. And then what I've also done is I've taken another rectangle of craft card. I've taken one of the lovely sentiments within the set. So it says, "Please don't worry, I've got you." what a lovely sentiment to send to somebody, just to know that you're there for them. And the font again is really, really lovely. It feels handwritten, just ties in gorgeously. I've got a white card blank. It's just a top folding card blank, and I'm just going to position everything into place just to see that I'm happy with it. And once I am, I've got some foam tape on the back of here to give us that added lift, to make our panels stand proud from the card blank, to make them really pop out. And I'm just going to stick that down onto there, making sure that I've got the designs all the right way up and in the right order. It won't be the first time I've got that wrong, so just check. And then just sticking them down onto there. And now that contrast of white really makes the craft card pop and stand out, and that little bit of black gives it that framing device. And then finally the third panel in the middle, centralising that so they're all in line. And again, I've added that black matting layer to my sentiment to tie everything together to get that card to flow. So only using 4 stamps within this collection, and think how many you've got in there, how many different options you've got. I'm just going to extend that across there, like so. And we've got something a little bit different, very quick and simple to create. Experiment with different colour combinations, maybe white card with coloured ink, maybe colouring in your images. You can get lots of different effects. So you can see our succulent collection from Rare Earth, that is available at crafting.co.uk. It's really, really versatile. There's lots of options when you're working with it. It doesn't matter what your style of crafting is, there's definitely something for you. And I hope you've enjoyed looking at the succulent collection with me, and I hope you're going to check it out and enjoy.